In my video about the Leobog Hi75, I figured out some of the issues it had that prevented it to be one of the best budget custom keyboard kit of all time. This is the first keyboard that opened the floodgate for cheap budget aluminum keyboards. Leobog basically fixed all these issues and launched Leobog Hi8, their latest 75% keyboard. It is made out of 6063 stainless aluminum this time around and comes in both pre-built and bare bones variant. This is available for $65 on sites like Taobao and for $85+ in sites like AliExpress and others. Today, I will be taking a deep dive into it, see how it performs with the various switches, and compare it with the other similar priced boards. Getting a hand on this board was super tough because when it was launched in China, it was getting out of stock right away, considering the price it was sold back then in Taobao. The board was sent to me here by the folks at Gadget Nova BD with some keycaps and switches. You can find the pre-built variant of this board with them as well. Check the link in the description for more. Let's talk about the changes and improvements made. The kit still comes in fully assembled, which means a user doesn't need to do anything else other than plug and play their own keycaps and switches. As I've said before, the case is much better with proper anodization and spray coating. The board is now available in various colors. It has a rounded corner with tapered edge and has a tapping angle of 6.5 degrees. At the bottom, there is this lovely terracotta-like artwork with Leobog logo embedded. Another improvement is that it now has a proper rotary knob. This is also carved out of CNC aluminum with the name Leobog engraved on its side. The knob can do a multitude of works including volume control and RGB control. The PCB is a 1.2mm flex card with 5-pin hot swap PCB and south-facing RGB LED and only support ANSI layout. The hot swap sockets are unknown, but it seems like the usual Gateron and Kale clone. Considering the price of this board, I expected to see the branded ones. The stock plate is flex cut polycarbonate, and judging from all the foams in the config, the board is meant to be sound talky. Anyways, one of the biggest improvements I've seen versus Leobog Hi75 is that it now has a tri-mode connection with a massive 8000 mAh battery. With the RGB on, you can expect to get at least 72 hours of usage time and even higher if it's turned off. Also, the gasket mounting has changed from Poran gaskets to silicon gasket jackets mounted on the PCB. The PCB gasket mounting allows for even sounding across the board with the nice soft typing experience overall. The stabs are plate mounted, like all the Chinese boards out there, and tuned right away from the factory. There are decent amount of foams including plate foams, XP sheet, pet film and case foam to make the board sound good. Oh, I forgot to tell you, this time around opening the board has been super easy as it now uses a proper sized hex screw at the back, and they will give you a hex key to open it up. In addition to all the aforementioned dampening materials, inside of the case you can also see an antenna for the wireless connection via 2.4 GHz dongle, similar to those used in laptops, and also 2 lithium-ion battery cells. At bare bones, the kit weighs 1.4 kg and 1.6 kg after build. So the folks at Gadget Nova BD gave me Xinmeng Black Plum linear switches and some cherry double-shot PVD keycaps, similar to those you see in Ola F75, to build a custom build. I did what I always do, try it in the stock configuration and see how it performs. Here's the sound test. In my opinion, it's alright at stock, and I think for most, it can be easily usable in stock config. The plate mounted stabs sound really good and with a rattle. These are perfectly tuned. The tapping experience is quite great. But however, since it's easy to open, let's see how we can make it better. So one of my main complaints is that it could have been made a lot more fuller. So I did a layer of Tempest tape mod. The case is already packed with case foam plus the enormous battery, so I don't feel like adding anything else. Since there are a lot of cables, be careful while modding the board. So let's hear the sound test now. Yeah, it sounds more fuller right now and to my liking. To be honest, you can skip the modding if you want to. Most people will be fine with stock. There wasn't any resonance of sorts. No force break mod is needed. It's time to see what type of sound the board exhibits with various types of switches. So here it is. The board sounds super deep and talky, and all the sound tests indicate towards that. So if you want the best out of the board, use deep talky sounding switches. The Since aluminum case really held up in the long run. I didn't see any sort of coating tear off in my usage. I would say the case quality is pretty much on the level of sub $150 and $200 kits. Now let's talk about the software. It's pretty generic. It lets you allow to control the RGB, set macro and map the secondary layer. It's not like VIA, but it gets the job done. The PCB has 1000Hz polling rate in wired and 2.4 GHz and 125Hz in Bluetooth mode. It's pretty easy to connect wirelessly and it's pretty fast. Although the board has native Mac mode, keep in mind that the software is only for Windows as of now. Speaking of which, let's talk about some of the cons. As usual, no options to put in screen stabilizers if you want to in the PCB. There is no holes for the screen stabs. If you are a Mac only user, you can't use the software at all. You have to be dependent on a Windows device to program the PCB. And unknown branded hot swap sockets, as I've said earlier. Other than that, this board has been stacking up quite nice in my daily usage. I like the way it sounds and feel, and that premium heft and finishing gives it a more of a satisfying experience. The tri-mode connectivity has been a blessing for me since I'm transitioning into wireless. Now, the most important part. With all the new boards coming in, how does this stack up? Well, honestly speaking, this board is going to have a super duper competition with all the existing and the new options in the market. If you are into knob, you have the Monsgeek M1W and the upcoming M1W V3. They have the software that can work on Mac, uses Gator on hot swap sockets and has options to put in screen stabs. Plus, they are priced competitively. If you're not into rotary knob, there are the likings of Hi75, which sounds amazing in stock, has custom weights, nice keycaps and switches, and most importantly, VIA. Same can be said for the likings of Shilky ND75, which has also a display, Bridge 75, and Womir SK75, and their pre-built variants cost less than $100. And that's a great value if you ask me. So, if you can't get your hands on Leobog Hi8, well, we can go for the other alternatives. It's as simple as that. If you already have it, good for you. Unless it's urgent, you don't need to upgrade. Do some of the suggested mods, try out new switches, and you shall be alright. With that, I'm wrapping up today's video. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to my channel to see me covering more keyboards like this. With that, goodbye and have a great day.